Jason Chaffetz is standing firm with his GOP colleagues,
Of course.
in trying to prevent Guantanamo Bay detainees from coming into the United States. Chaffetz has also criticized the president for not presenting a plan on what to do with the detainees once the detention center is closed. Yeah, that's why he wants to close it next year, so his people have time to come up with a plan on what to do with them. The distinguished gentleman from Utah's 3rd District is adamant that the detainees not come to Utah, which frankly is unlikely since Utah does not have a federal prison. But he even went on to say that he would reject the opportunity to build a new prison to house detainees, even though it would mean hundreds of jobs for out-of-work Utahns. I wonder what the out-of-work Utahns think of that. My community recently built a brand new state-of-the-art jail that brought all kinds of jobs that our economy was happy to get. I even volunteered to spend the night there just to break it in. And what did Mr. Chaffetz recommend as an alternative to Utah's unemployed?
They can join the military.
I am a veteran, and that is just not a viable option for a lot of people. I mean, it requires a major commitment, not to mention the fact that, hello, we're in the middle of 2 wars? Wouldn't you agree that construction is arguably a much safer job when not being performed in the middle of a war zone? But here's my favorite of Jason Chaffetz's concerns. He's afraid that any facility holding Guantanamo inmates on U.S. soil might be attacked. Dude, Guantanamo Bay is right by the ocean. If anybody wanted to attack it, they would have done so by now. Let's compare that to, say, the Supermax prison in Florence, Colorado, which is right in the middle of a continent. Not exactly easy access for your run-of-the-mill terrorists. He's also concerned that bringing detainees into the U.S. might give them constitutional rights. Jason, do I have to look up everything for you? Seriously, wouldn't it make more sense for a congressman to be more informed than his constituents? Why would you object to allowing an alleged criminal to be tried in what is arguably the fairest judicial system in the world? My personal and grossly unfair reaming by the U.S. justice system notwithstanding. Besides, your concerns about the rights of the accused were rendered moot before you even opened your mouth. The U.S. Supreme Court ruled in June of 2008 that Guantanamo prisoners were entitled to the same legal treatment as any American, regardless of where they were being held. Chaffetz's response to international criticism of the Guantanamo facility is to call it a public relations problem. This is not a PR problem. This is an ethical problem. The United States has long considered itself the paragon of values and high standards. We lost that when this nation started to value security above human rights, for both its own citizens and prisoners of war. Chaffetz thinks the detention center in Guantanamo Bay should remain open because it's operated successfully for years. You know, by their own definition, concentration camps operated successfully for years. The slave trade operated successfully for years. The Spanish Inquisition, Japanese-American internment camps, Jim Crow laws, all operated successfully for years. Just because something is performing precisely as it was designed to does not trump the moral prerogative to discontinue its use. One reason the GOP wants to keep the Guantanamo Bay facility open is because it's currently holding a number of 9/11 conspirators, including the mastermind Khalid Sheikh Mohammed. I'd like to share a few names with you. These should sound familiar. Ramzi Youssef, Mahmoud Abu Halima, Mohammed Salameh, Ahmed Mohammed Ajaj, Nidal Ayad, and Omar Abdel Rahman. These are 6 of the conspirators behind the World Trade Center bombing of 1993. Over the 4 years that followed that tragic event, all 6 of those men were captured either right here in the United States or overseas and then extradited back to the U.S., where they were all tried and convicted in the U.S. court system. 5 of them are serving life sentences at the Supermax prison in Florence, Colorado. The 6th is serving at a federal prison in North Carolina. Here's another name for you, Richard Reed, aka the Shoe Bomber, tried and convicted in the United States and currently residing at the Supermax facility in Florence, Colorado, with another notable terrorist. Zacarias Moussaoui, also tried and convicted here in the United States for conspiracy behind the September 11th attacks. What makes these 8 men so much different than the people that we're keeping in Guantanamo Bay, especially the other 9/11 conspirators? We know who they are and what they did. Why haven't they been tried and convicted? Do we not have enough evidence for a conviction? I seriously doubt that's the problem. Why are Chaffetz and his GOP cronies so dead set against sending these men through the U.S. judicial system? I could ask the same thing of President Obama, who's said to be considering re-establishing military tribunals for the detainees. It's already been established that they have a right to a speedy trial. It was good enough for the 93 bombers, Reed and Moussaoui, and no one's complained about them being imprisoned here in the U.S. The truth is, the GOP wants us to believe that the Guantanamo detainees are different, that somehow they are more dangerous. The fact of the matter is, there is no difference between the terrorists in Guantanamo Bay and those that have been tried and convicted in the U.S. The GOP just wants us to believe there is. Republicans in Congress are just trying to retain what little power they have left in the only way that they know how, through fear. And what better way to keep Americans fearful than to plant in their minds just the idea of the evil ones being anywhere but a supermax prison. Held perpetually waiting trial, not in a federal detention center, not even in a jail, but in a camp, behind a few chain-link fences and some razor wire, because it's too dangerous to bring them here. In George Orwell's 1984, the face of the enemy was Emmanuel Goldstein. For the GOP, the face of the enemy is Osama bin Laden, Khalid Sheikh Mohammed, the terrorists. In Orwell's novel, every day at 11 a.m., the party members were forced to take part in what was called the 2 Minutes Hate. During that time, they had to watch a short film depicting the party's enemies, and they were required to express their hatred for them and the principles of democracy. On May 7, 2009, the GOP posted the following short to the Republican Conference's website.
FAA has banned all takeoffs at all airports across America.
A wire now saying another aircraft, unbelievably, has crashed into the Pentagon.
It's not quite 2 minutes, but it certainly gets the point across.